We have an article up on ESPN.com today.
Wow.
It's written by one of our most intelligent and handsome writers on that site. It raises one quarterback-related question for every team. It could be as simple as who's going to start, could be about the contract. Point is, everybody's got a question they still need to answer, no matter how set you may think you are at quarterback. So, Adam Schefter, will start with the Steelers, who signed Russell Wilson and traded for Justin Fields this offseason. Who's going to be the starting quarterback at Pittsburgh?
Well, Mike Tomlin himself has said that Russell Wilson has the pole position to become the starting quarterback in Pittsburgh, and that is the expectation. I'm sure Justin Fields will have a say about that in camp, and let's see how he shows up, learns the offense, and performs this summer in training camp. But the fact of the matter is, Mike Tomlin has gone out of his way to say that it is Russell Wilson's job to essentially lose. He gets first crack at keeping that job in Pittsburgh.
Moving along Lake Erie to Buffalo, where the Bills traded star wideout Stephon Diggs to the Texans. Dan, Diggs and Josh Allen had 4 great years together.
Sure.
Can Josh Allen still be an elite quarterback without it?
He will be an elite quarterback without him. And really, if he's willing to play the style of football that Patrick Mahomes for the past couple years has kind of adopted. It's like that plus point guard. It's not just the catch and throw guy, but it's a ball distributor, because that's what it's going to be about in Buffalo, with the 2 tight end usage and the multiple wide receivers, that they get to just ask Josh for the great majority of the games, hey, let's just make sure that we find the matchup that we like and then get the ball out. And then there's going to be moments where you got to put on that Superman cape and be that guy, which we know he is more than willing and capable of.
Sticking with the Rust Belt teams, let's go to Detroit now, where Jared Goff got a 4-year, $212 million contract extension earlier this week. Marcus, can the Lions win a Super Bowl with Jared Goff?
This is an analogy I'm going to make, guys. When you mess up, your actions is what regains trust as opposed to what you say. And I used to tell Dan Orlovsky all the time, I do not trust Jared Goff. I trust him now.
Okay.
I trust him now. He had a phenomenal year last year, but more importantly, there were 2 throws made in the NFC Championship that should have took the Detroit Lions to the Super Bowl last year that were dropped. And I think Jared Goff in those moments proved more than anything. He was in a high leverage moment against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the playoff game. He was in a high leverage moment on the road in San Francisco and made the plays necessary to put his team in the big game. He just needs his wide receivers to come through. I trust him because of his actions, not because of what Dan Orlovsky said.
It's amazing to me. It's amazing.
I was the one telling you to trust him, though.
Well, no,
catching shrapnel over there.
What's the only thing at your age you won't trust?
Anyway, Adam, what were you saying?
It's amazing to me how much support he's generated within that organization and within that city. He's beloved in that city in a way that Dan Orlovsky never was.
Wow, Orlovsky just sitting here catching.
Schefter, that's twice. That's twice.
I love Schefter so much.
For me?
Man.
I didn't do it.
You set me up with that friggin' video.
That's just the producers. It's not me. I'm just reading. That's all I'm doing is reading. Hey, how about Cincinnati and Joe Burrow? A couple questions surrounding this team, including Burrow recovering from a significant wrist injury that ended his season last year. He's also going to have a new offensive coordinator and some different offensive personnel. No more Joe Mixon, no more Tyler Boyd. And by the way, T. Higgins requested a trade because he's unhappy with his contract. So, Dan, with all of that said, do you think Burrow can return to form this year for the Bengals?
I don't understand what happened when it came to this NFL conference. Joe Burrow's at worst the second best quarterback in the NFL. That hasn't changed just because of his injury from last year. I'm not a doctor, but I do think he rebounds to be exactly what he was beforehand. The T. Higgins thing. Okay, so T. Higgins is unhappy. He's also going to be really motivated. He just watched Amon-Ra St. Brown get $1 gajillion. Okay, so he's going to watch Justin Jefferson get a huge number, and more than likely CeeDee Lamb. So you get a motivated player. As much as I love Tyler Boyd, and I love Tyler Boyd as that slot number 3 receiver, Jermaine Burton, who they drafted out of Alabama, I think has the chance to have the Puka Nacua type of, not that elite of a performance, not that elite, but that, where did this guy come from? I think he could have 60 or 70 catches for this offense. He averaged 20 yards per catch twice in college and run-first offenses. I think that addition makes the loss of Boyd way less than on the surface level.
Loss of Boyd, and I will say, questions about T. Higgins, because he's going to the last year of his contract.
But he wants money.
He's not going to get the money.
But he's going to get it from someone.
Okay, right. So what's going to happen middle of the season if and when his knees creaky, his hamstrings tight, his shoulder sore? Is he playing through those injuries weeks before he becomes a free agent? Or is he going to be making a business decision?
But here's the thing, Chef.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. You got to go get you think a team is randomly going to pay you if you're not healthy? What you want?
Absolutely. He's getting paid.
No.
Oh, he's getting paid.
Chef, if he goes and plays the way that T. Higgins has, you're going to tell me if T. Higgins 6 or 7 weeks in, and I don't want to even put that out in the universe. I want to say if he plays.
How many times have we seen this play out? I'll go back to Jarris Byrd, a safety in Buffalo, where he had all kinds of injury issues, becomes a free agent. New Orleans makes him the highest paid safety in football. Somebody, no matter what season T. Higgins has, is going to pay him. And so at some point this year, I'm just saying, I think there'll be business decisions that are made. I think there will.
You think the business decision is to play?
Well, I think a couple years ago, fair point. So the way that the receivers are coming in from college football nowadays, I think different.
Schefter, I got to be with Dan on this one. I think that particular position changes it because we are seeing these dudes go for $1,200 their first year in the league. And the problem is with a lot of these, we just saw Stephon Diggs get traded.
Do you know how few quality players hit the market at a young age?
That's a fair point. That's a fair point.
But what incentive does T. Higgins have? I get it with injury.
No,
I'm not. But I'm with Dan. If he is not motivated to go get almost $26 million a year,
he's going to go out and play his best.
Yeah.
My question is, every player gets nicked up, correct?
Yeah, but I don't think.
At some point in the season, later on, how many times is a guy questionable for Sunday? My question is, how many questionables is he playing through when he's weeks before becoming a free agent?
I think when
that's a good point.
I don't know the young man to know his character.
Right.
So I can't speak to that. I do think that when you have a chance to go win a Super Bowl, which is what Cincinnati expects to, I think that.
And a lot of it is based on his performance.
Correct.
And I think we made this point yesterday, right? 2 years ago, Jesse Bates, franchised by the Bengals, they didn't give him a deal. He played out the season and then went to Atlanta as a free agent, right? But in the meantime, he helped them get to the AFC Championship game.
The hard part is we trying to get into T. Higgins' mental makeup, right? Like we could draw on history, to your point. Like Jalen Ramsey walked in the building every day and said something hurt to get traded, right? So I get that. We understand where you're coming from. But I'm not going to pretend to know T. Higgins and how he's approaching this offseason. He's probably pissed off. But the reality is this, Schefter. The reality is this for T. Higgins. Jamar Chase on the other side, bro.
Yeah, he's never
that you weren't going to be paid like a number
and
one guy
in this situation. You just watch organizations take rookie quarterbacks that need to spend next year.
So he's going to go get some.
And you just saw 7 wide receivers go in the first round.
Guys,
it is a question to watch.
My question was about Joe Burrow. How'd we get on T. Higgins?
That relates to Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was fun anyway.